Yo, 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 welcome back to the Out the Box Show. I'm John Wallace alongside my co-host James Luffy and Rory Luke. Rory, what is up, my man? This is an exciting night for the Out the Box podcast. Dad is back in the flesh. Rory, it is great to have you back, my man. How is it being a father?
It's a tough experience, but it's rewarding. Like today, I worked from home today, stayed home with him all day because Hannah had a doctor's appointment in Baton Rouge. So it was just me and him for like 5 or 6 hours today.
Two dudes chilling.
Yeah, we had a good time. He didn't let me put him down that much, so I didn't get that much work done, but I got enough. But I mean, it's been amazing.
What have you taught him so far?
Well, he doesn't know much, but he's learning every day. He's watched a lot of football. He's watched a lot of Pelicans basketball. I don't know if he's taken it in, but he's watched it. He's seen it on the TV.
You've probably got to watch a lot, even though you're still really busy because he's so young. You haven't done much. So you've still been keeping up with football and everything, correct?
Yeah, like he doesn't. The thing is, he's not at the age where it's like
you can't bring him anywhere, really.
And yeah, well, we haven't really left the house at all for 2 months, and he's not a remote hog yet. So,
dude,
yeah,
I know what you mean by that. They always want to grab the remote, and it's like go play with this block or this Hot Wheels car or whatever. But Rory, I say this, speaking on behalf of me and James and the rest of the Out the Box podcast, it is great to see you back in the booth. We know it's been a tiring last couple months, but like you said, very rewarding. We didn't want to get John James Graham Webster Luke on the show, and he will be on the show at some point.
Yep.
But he turned in early for tonight because he was up late last night watching Monday Night Football. And every dude, at least should be having a few beers on Monday Night Football. So I get it. Long day at work today. He will be on the podcast, but it's great to have you back. We have a packed show for you guys. Can't wait to get to it. LSU coming off a not so great of a beatdown of the Arkansas Razorbacks at Arkansas.
We're going to enjoy the win, though.
But as Brian Kelly said, we are going to enjoy the win. You got to be proud anytime you go on the road in the SEC. You got to enjoy it. And by the way, forgot to mention, we punched our ticket to the SEC championship game.
Yep.
It is going to be electric. We are going to look forward to the UAB game this weekend. Got a little surprise coming, a little announcement for me and Luffy on Saturday. Right. So going to be a cool experience there. And maybe talk a little hoops, maybe review a few miscellaneous things. We're going to talk about our horrible gambling weekend.
Yeah. I was 2-0, so.
Well, we're going to, but overall, we're a team.
That's right. We are a team. We are one game above 500 overall in college and NFL right now.
We're gonna face it. We're gonna face it head on like men do. But before we get to all that, I want to give a huge shout out to the Boo Crew Media Network. Shout out to the Boo Crew Media Network. They're all over the place. I don't want to spoil the announcement right now because we're going to do it later, but Boo Crew Media kind of hooking us up this weekend. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm going to say. Your boys, or let's just say there will be some sort of Boo Crew Media presence covering the LSU Tigers from the press box this weekend. Oh, wait. I don't know who it could be.
Wait to see. Wait to find out.
The suspense is killing everybody. But the Boo Crew Media Network, constant content. We've kind of fallen behind and taken the over content or podcast contest for our sports betting picks, but that's what the second half of the season's for. We are coming back with a vengeance. Make sure to check out the Boo Crew Media Network on social media at Boo Crew Media and on social media, I already said social media, BooCrewMedia.com. Also, Chris Calderera just posted an article recapping LSU's win at Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Very good. I read it.
BooCrewMedia.com. So I did read it. I want to apologize. Chris texted me today with the article, and I said I'm posting immediately because of my blunder last week, forgetting. So Boo Crew Media. Also, one of the greatest things you can do in life is have a little baby boy and raise him from the day he was born. And as Rory can attest, that is the greatest thing you can do. Another one of the greatest things you can do is get Blaine Loop to be your realtor. Blaine wants to be your friend. You're a friend, dude. There's something going on. I'm fumbling on my words. I'm so nervous and excited to have Rory back on the podcast. But Blaine wants to be your friend, your neighbor, and your agent. He wants you to call him at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. He goes all over the place. He wants to help you buy the home of your dreams, sell the old home of your dreams, buy the new home of your dreams, find somebody to rent out your investment property, or find you somewhere to rent. Make sure to call or text him at 504-858-0031 for all your housing needs. All right. Well, we're
going to Atlanta.
We are. We punched the ticket in the most probably underwhelming way on Saturday.
If you had the spread LSU -3.5, yes.
Yes.
Or the alternate -10.5.
I don't know what kind of dumbass would have picked LSU to cover -3.5 on Saturday, but
or 10.5.
Yeah, or 10.5 for that matter.
But yeah, we're going to Atlanta. We should try to get credentialed for Atlanta, John. How cool would that be?
I will see what kind of strings.
I mean, I think we could do it. I don't think that's reaching.
Like I said, I agree. I will see what the Booker Media Network can do for us.
Yeah, but anyway, Harold Perkins Jr. just absolutely dominant. I mean, what a last couple of weeks he's had and season overall, and it's crazy. You know, you can always go back and say, what if he played more in these games, especially the two we lost, but he is unbelievable. The way he bends around the edge and just constantly harasses the quarterback is something like we haven't really seen before, and creating or since the honey badger, really. I mean, the way he's getting these strip sacks and just bringing pressure, and the offense really can't stop him. I mean, they're going to be game planning just for Harold Perkins going forward. Teams are. So it's incredible. True freshman who's just an absolute freak athlete, and there's really not much more you say about him. He is great. He is an elite player. He'd be a top 15 pick in this year's NFL draft if he was eligible.
Yeah, I mean, I first time talking football in this whole season. I haven't been on to talk about Harold Perkins at all this whole season, pretty much. But I mean, and shout out to Madhouse and BK, because they have also found him and put him in situations to succeed. You know, that the QB spy that he does is like the perfect QB spy. He's a perfect QB spy. There's no quarterback, I think, in college football that he could not run down with that QB spy.
And I saw where his shuttle time would have been second best in high school, would have been second best in the draft, which is just his change of the way he changes speeds and changes direction. Like you're saying, no quarterback can get away.
No, I mean, and it's a perfect way to use him. You rush three, but you really have the quarterback can't get out the pocket, because as soon as he's out the pocket, Harold Perkins is there in, half a second, and he's in his face. So you rush three, but the quarterback's got to stay in the pocket when you're rushing three. I mean, it's a huge advantage, and he's just been a difference maker for this team for sure.
Yeah, and I think, James, I think you were really driving the point home about 5-6 weeks ago. You were saying, okay, this needs to be a Harold Perkins game. He needs to step up. Like, he was the one that you focused on consistently as this defense was coming together, as they were finding their identity with Madhouse and BK. And I think it is also interesting to say that, okay, yeah, Harold Perkins as a true freshman is making this big of an impact. In the future, yeah, we're going to have him for the next 2 years following this year. But it's crazy to say, okay, he went through all of fall camp, all of over the summer, and wasn't a starter. And then as the season progresses, that's how things get figured out in football. It's not a night and day thing. And it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, we definitely could have used him in the earlier games of the season, Florida State. And I think he played a little bit in the Tennessee game.
And I mean, he didn't play until the last possession of the first half of the Tennessee game. But if you go back and you look at the starters, on both sides of the ball for the Florida State game. And you look at it now, I mean, Mike Jones and is not even really, he's playing special teams now. And shout out to him, because I mean, that takes a lot of sacrifice and not complain and still get up there and go do your job every game on special teams. But he's not even seeing the field on defense. I mean, it's Baskerville, Greg Penn, and Harold Perkins out there. And Greg Penn deserves a shout out too for this last game. He had his best game. You heard Brian Kelly say it. It was a Greg Penn type game. I think we may have talked about that the last couple of weeks, wanting him to step up because DeMario Tolan, who we had talked about, is starting to play well. And he stepped up and had a really good game. But overall, I mean, yeah, Matt House and Brian Kelly and the rest of the defensive staff have done a great job adapting to the personnel and really getting the best 11 guys out there as much as possible. And the game plans have been great too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just their adjustments. It's unusual for LSU fans to look at a football team and say, wow, they're actively week to week making adjustments, putting the right guys in position. If one guy's not getting the job done, you're putting the true freshman in who is having a Tyrann Mathieu. That's whenever you're bringing his name up, you don't want to speak too soon, right? But whenever you're bringing his name into the conversation with greats like Tyrann Mathieu as a true freshman, it's just insane. But it feels good week to week. I feel like they walk in Monday morning and they say, okay, 1, 2, 3 bullet points. These are the things we need to address. And they actually do fix them. And Brian Kelly says it. He says, we're going to fix this, and then it's not going to happen again. And
they make it, like you said, they make adjustments at half. I mean, one of the best second half teams in the SEC. They make adjustments in the half on the offense and the defense. And I think go back and you look at the game plans. I think the only bad game plan we had on defense was probably Tennessee, which is a hard enough offensive game plan before. I think if you saw Tennessee again,
and we had some bad breaks, yeah.
And you see Tennessee, if you saw Tennessee again after you got the Georgia film on Tennessee, I think it would be a different game. I think this, if we played Tennessee next week, I think it would be a completely different game.
Yeah, and I mean, one area we struggled against Arkansas was the offensive game plan. It seemed like it was almost the same thing and not fit to beat Arkansas, and we just kind of thought we were going to run the same thing. And Brian Kelly says this on Monday, that they didn't do a good enough job adapting to what they should have been thinking the defense was going to do to play the RPO and to switch up how they're going to play Jaden and switch up how they're going to play the guys, Neighbors and Booty and everybody on the outside. And it seemed like they knew what we were running. And we tried to throw it a little bit too much early, knowing their secondary wasn't that great. And guys just weren't open. They were dropping everybody and they adjusted really well. We didn't run it well enough in the first half to really get anything going. And it just seemed like we didn't have anything special on offense for Arkansas, and it hurt us. I mean, we almost lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, it always felt like they couldn't put anything together as well,
Yeah.
You string a few good plays together and then you get a sack. I mean, I think they ended up with like 7 sacks, which
some of those were on Jaden too. The offensive line wasn't as bad as I thought people were, especially on those first couple of drives. It seemed like he had forever back there, but it did. Seeing the replays from overhead, it did seem like they had us covered. They knew the route combinations we were in, and their coaching staff deserved a lot of credit, Arkansas's defensive staff.
I think a lot of those are just like scheme sacks almost, where they just out coached us. And because, like you said, I mean, I don't think the blame is completely on the offensive line. I think anybody looks at 7 sacks and thinks that the offensive line had a horrible day, which I really don't think they did. They kind of pushed them around in the run game.
And credit to Josh Williams. He was really tough running between those tackles. I mean, he converted was that 3rd and 18, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 20, something like that. And
then he had that long run of like 40, 50 yards on the I think that was a touchdown drive, or they scored on that drive at least, one of 3 scoring drives. So
it seemed like we should have been running it more on first down early on, and we were getting behind, whether it was pre-snap penalties, which is one thing that whether it was one of the receivers, I think it was we had a receiver jump off sides, a tight end jump off sides, an offensive lineman jump off side, and maybe one of them was on Jaden, like pre-snap things that that, shouldn't be happening, but maybe that's just a part of the sluggishness of coming off Bama. It's very hard. I know that everyone talks about the trap game and the emotional swing, but it's a real thing for college kids. I mean, I think Rory would know, coming off emotional victories and even emotional losses, some of those games after Alabama, how hard was it to get back up after being undefeated going in those games and then losing? Like, how big of a factor do you think that played into this past week?
I mean, I think it's like a huge I think it's definitely a factor, and it goes both ways. So Arkansas last week losing to Liberty, huge rah-rah spot for them. They need to come together as a team, probably had like a players-only meeting or something. Those always work for a week. And then the exact opposite for LSU, biggest one of the year, great game, played a perfect game. And it goes with the coaching staff as well. I mean, Denbrock kind of looked like he had that Alabama hangover because you plan 2 full weeks. I mean, and like everybody's going to say, you plan a whole week for your next opponent, but that's not always true. Like this week, they're obviously UAB is a solid team. They're watching UAB, but they're thinking about Texas A&M as well. They have Texas A&M in the back of their head, just scheme wise and stuff like that. Well, when you play Alabama, you don't have anybody else in your head. So scheme all Alabama, have a great win, crazy win, and then you come back and you play Arkansas. And I don't think Arkansas could have asked for better conditions unless there was legitimately snow on the ground.
Yeah, there was a lot of argument about who that would favor. My opinion was it would not favor us, just because I think, we were a better passing offense. Their original plan was just to run it with their quarterback. And I didn't think that would help us, especially at 11 a.m. It's been warm here all year. So different environment change for sure for the players. And I think the 11 a.m. for college students is tough, getting up that morning early and playing a game.
Especially when you're not used to it. I mean,
if you're Ohio State, you're used to it. You play at 11 a.m. every week.
Yeah, exactly. And you play in the cold every week. I think it was just kind of like a shock, early morning shock for LSU. I mean, that's why they started so slow. And then once it kind of got going, the game was, pretty much over. Once they kind of got their feet under them, it's, you turn around and it's a third, fourth quarter. But I mean, a win's a win.
So what do y'all make of, I guess, which side, and I'm pretty sure I know what y'all are going to say, right? But which side do y'all fall on the coin of, it's all about which team shows up against Georgia in the SEC championship that first week in December, right? If the team from this past weekend shows up, we're done for. If the team that shows up to beat Bama, we got a shot, right? So I guess how much does LSU's performance on Saturday weigh into like this team, or do you make much of them not performing up, or is it just a classic case of, it's a letdown game? They went up there, it was cold, they just beat Bama, Arkansas lost to Liberty. How much of a factor is that going forward?
To me, this past week was more on the offensive coaching staff, and I think they'll get that cleaned up. I think that teams have now had a lot of film on what we're trying to do, and we've run that offense successfully. What was that, 3 weeks in a row? We've had a good offensive game plan, and I mean, Bama couldn't stop it. So, I think that it's more important to have good execution going forward these next 2 weeks. Beat UAB, beat Texas A&M, and I think if you're able to win both those games, then you're gonna take some confidence going into Atlanta. And the coaching staff, Brian Kelly was asked if they were preparing for Georgia at all. He said no. That's a lie.
I agree.
He himself, and Rory knows because he was in the building, but I feel like most kind of like fans, maybe not most fans, but some people know there's 1,000 analysts that they have that are prepping for Georgia. They were prepping for Georgia after we beat Alabama. I can guarantee that. And maybe before then, getting ready for that. So they are getting ready for Georgia, and they're going to have a good game plan going into that game. Now, Georgia's a really good team. Could we still get killed? Yes. The line's going to be 14, 2 touchdowns, give or take.
Yeah, I think the early line was 16.5.
Yeah. And so, that it's going to be hard to say how this but I don't worry about this past week too much. I was really glad to get out with a win.
So would you say, and I'm gonna let Rory answer too, but was it more of a fluke, or was it more of the inconsistency? Because at times we've seen, against Tennessee and Florida State, I don't even count that because it was so early. But yeah, at Tennessee we got drubbed, and in this game we came out not looking great.
The defense still really played really well. So if you're asking just about the offense, because I mean the defense was
it's a team game,
somewhat excellent though. I mean they not much more. What they give up is 13 points, right? That they gave up
10
points. So
yeah, and the one real, I mean in the first half the it's a turnover field position battle. They just gave up a field goal because of field position.
Yeah,
and in the second half you just give up brand new quarterback in. For his first drive of the game, they start throwing it. He throws a good pass and they make a good play for 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, and BJ Ojulari, we hadn't mentioned him. He was excellent again. So, but yeah, so I don't look at it as a whole team. I look at it just the offense, and at times Jaden did look a little hesitant to throw it, and that may have been like a different type of thing that they were telling him than they were telling him against Alabama and Ole Miss, because he knew that the defense was going to keep us in the game. And there was a couple times where, and especially on those first couple drives, where he looked hesitant to throw it into a tight window, knowing I'm not going to take this chance to throw a pick here because we're still better than them. We're going to end up winning this game. And I think that they'll be more aggressive going forward, and he'll be more aggressive going forward on offense.
I think what's really going to matter is, like you said, Luffy, this week, you need to go out there and handle an inferior opponent. And then the next week, you need to do the same thing. I think these next 2 weeks are what really matter. Kind of just impose your will, make them easy games, and then let's get our mind right for December 3rd.
Yeah. Overall, happy about the win, though. I really was, not worried, but concerned waking up that morning. I did not think we were going to cover John's 10.5, just because you know how hard of a game that is. And then the two opposite emotional swings, like Rory talked about, were happening. And
I think the weather plays in it a whole lot. I think if they played that game in September, I think they played with this LSU team and it was September weather. It was sunny and 75 outside. I think they could easily cover 10.5. I think you're not as hesitant to throw the ball. You feel good. You feel loose. I think, the start of that game, they just, weren't there, didn't feel right. And then once they started feeling right, we started moving the ball a little bit and shoot ourselves in the foot while we're moving the ball. So,
yeah.
So let's just wrap it up by talking about that we've been kind of mentioning it, but the spread before the game was 3.5. There was a lot to be made about this being a trap game. Nobody knew what to do. LSU clearly coming off the win against Bama is supposed to take care of business. The spread was 3.5. Then that morning we find out that their quarterback is out. So I guess my question is, did Vegas know that there was a chance that their quarterback wasn't going to come back? Obviously, he's been out previously. And two, it's like, how can LSU keep – I really want to hear from Rory on this. Like, how does LSU stay out of their own head with on both sides of the coin? Like, one, they know they should have been favored by more points in that game, and two, not getting too big of a head, taking care of business the next few weeks. Because if there's what they're doing this season, given the circumstances more than anything, is get Jimbo Fisher fired, right? So I guess how does LSU manage the expectation in the next 2 or 3 weeks heading up to the SEC championship to maintain what they have and to put up a good fight against Georgia?
I think this is what you hire Brian Kelly for. I think it's the no frill, no BS. Bring your lunch pail every day to work. And this is what you hired him for, is to, one, get to the SEC championship, get a national championship, but also to take the the Troy game and those losses and games that you should win, take those out of the equation, and I think that's hopefully what he does. I mean, we'll see, but I have a feeling that they're going to play a lot better this week. They kind of got punched in the mouth last week. They and you could see it, them walking off the field. It didn't look like a team that just pretty much clinched the SEC West. They looked disappointed in themselves. Especially on the offense. You saw like Malik Neighbors coming off the field. I don't think he cracked a smile. I think they were disappointed in how they played, and I think that's going to come into play these next 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, and that's all. Like I said, to wrap it up, and like you said, Luffy, it's like yes, LSU should be happy about this, but on the other hand, it's like in the locker room, the defense isn't going to be hooping and hollering and spraying champagne bottles while the offense is sitting there knowing they didn't play well. That's kind of I'm not worried about it because, like Rory said, Brian Kelly is in the mix, and that's what he was brought here for. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll close it by saying I think it could be a good thing for the team overall, and that maybe wakes everybody up a little bit.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
You want to clean up?
Yeah, I'm going to clean up by saying catch me and John on the field this Saturday night. Come support the Tigers. It's senior day. This team is, I'll say, overachieved. Is that a fair word to say?
That's what Chris Calderera kind of reiterated in his article.
Yeah,
like,
so
you can't be disappointed if LSU goes to the SC championship and gets killed when they weren't even supposed to.
Look, we sat here going into Florida saying we could win or we could lose each of these next 4 games until UAB, and we're looking pretty good right now. So
you ain't losing with Workbox.
Yeah, and if you're talking about an overachiever, you're talking about Martine Patial.
Let's go. That was great, Luffy.
You need to call him if you need a storage container, portable office, portable restroom rental, roll-off dumpster, porta potty. They have the cleanest porta potties in the business. It's 225-343-4886. Call Workbox if you need a storage container, portable office, portable restroom rental, roll-off dumpster. If you're redoing your home, call Martine. He'll get you a dumpster out there. He'll get you a porta potty out there. John will come inspect it, make sure it's clean himself. Call Workbox and ask for Martine. It is 225-343-4886.
For what it's worth, I did have LSU covering. It was pretty sizable what I had on LSU for me at least. For LSU to cover -3.5. I just want to point out to I guess the people who really think a lot into the trap games and all that. And like I've said on this podcast, I'm not that guy. I'm a homer, and that's ultimately why I bet on LSU to cover 3.5. But I do want to say, I just want to caution all those gamblers out there that look at spreads and over-unders. Luffy, what was the closing spread on this LSU football game right at kickoff?
The closing spread? What did it move to? 5.5?
5,
4.5. Okay. I thought someone in here said 5.5. I knew that there was a chance KJ wouldn't play and it would go the other way at the end, or our way.
My argument to that is I would have taken that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was one thing. And for those that say that Vegas, it's crazy how close Vegas always is. For every score that Vegas is, for every bet that I lose by 0.5 point, I can find an over or under or a spread that completely missed.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that out there and caution all these gamblers out there. Like I said, don't listen to me for gambling advice. I'm awful at it, but I do enjoy it. But
when they hit the number, it's like
number, it's like, okay, well, they have an algorithm and all the science behind it that says kind of how trends go. And like football games go a certain way. Like you're not going to have a spread of 97 unless you're like Kim Mulkey playing
Yeah, me and you had what, -74.5 the other night?
74.5, yeah. And it was insane. Anyway, basically I'm defending myself to myself for making that bet on LSU. I'm making myself feel better that I wasn't that outrageous to bet LSU -3.5 because LSU is a better team by 3.5 points.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, to your point, John, I had under 62 when we recorded this podcast. I think it moved to in the 50s, but what was it? It was
23.
23 points scored. So that's not even half the total.
And like I said, I'm defending myself to myself. So
Yeah.
I think
if anything, I
like
made myself feel better.
7 or 8 times out of 10, LSU beats them by 3.5. If they
think more
played
than
10
that.
times,
I think
it's
8 to
7
9.
or 8 times.
If they play 100 times, they win 84 out of 100 times.
Y'all want to go ahead and talk about the UAB spread
I think we should.
since we're talking spreads right now and UAB in general. They're a decent team. Their Ryan Kelly says their record is not show how good they are. They've lost some close games and they beat some decent teams, and it's a solid team for that conference, and they have some veteran players on the team, but the spread's 14.5 points. So this game could be close, or we could win by 50, right? You're taking us again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I'd have to look more into UAB.
It is going to be another chilly into 35 in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, me and John can get home at 3 o'clock.
Good news is they have plenty of ice cold Mr. Pibb in the press box, and they have coffee.
Really?
So we're gonna be me and you're gonna be sitting
I'm
there
down
double
some
fisting coffee and Mr. Pibb at the same
Beer?
time. No beer in the press box.
I mean, this is
You'll bring the
crazy.
class?
So UAB was a dog to UTSA. They were plus 2.5. So that means that LSU versus UTSA would be like an under 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know. I think I would just buy this to the 14.
No, me and you are not getting burned on a half point hook again.
Nah, yeah.
But and also
Actually, no. You know what? No, I'm not doing it.
There's also a chance that we rest some players this week. I mean, this is a game where late in the season you have a guy banged up that you need going down the stretch. You probably want to rest them if the staff feels comfortable that the backup can handle that time in the game and we're going to win the game without a doubt. I wouldn't be surprised to see some guys kind of on the fence rest.
I would not rest anybody.
I'd be more cool with getting a comfortable lead to start
than setting people.
And then
I'm not. This is too close of a game and too important of a game to I think rest guys, but I do think you'll see it, and I think that like Garrett Dellinger, he may get a couple reps, or they maybe rest him another week and get him ready for A&M. Coming off a broken hand
I don't know if he's like immediately a plug and play guy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've done a good job behind him, but with Bradford, but I think that Bradford there still is because I mean, at one point I think Kelly had considered him our second best line behind
and
Campbell.
Bradford is probably like,
and Rory, you have to remember
5 is probably the worst.
Yeah, and he had a knee injury and a broken hand.
Yeah,
so like that's. I mean, how hard? I couldn't imagine playing O-line with a knee injury and a broken hand. But I think if you're able to get him back healthy, and sometimes guards do rotate a little bit, correct? So,
yeah. I mean, national championship year, Ed Ingram and Adrian McGee rotated all year.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know. Maybe we rest some players. Maybe we don't. Senior night, come support the Tigers. I mean, they've played hard all year. There's no reason not to go out there besides the weather and the late start. But
it reminds me of our senior night of college. I remember vividly watching Rory run out onto the field and
it was a late game. It might have been a 6 o'clock game though.
Cheering for him, his parents out there, bringing the rose to mama and the football to dad. It was incredible. So it's going to bring back a lot of memories, but. Like I said, Luffy, you and I cannot get caught up in the feels on Saturday night. We have to be so laser focused because we have deadlines to meet, right? We have articles. We have articles that we have to write before the game's over. We have to be typing our article while watching football. It's crazy.
That's right.
So come out and support the Tigers. Luffy, you mentioned that right when I walked in. We were kind of talking about this Saturday and the plan for the day and the game and whatnot. And you said, like, I hope people show out for this team this team has succeeded and superseded all of LSU fans' expectations greatly, immensely. Nobody thought we were going to the SEC championship. Go
not
out
even
and
you, John. You're the
Yeah.
main optimist, and you didn't even
exactly
believe in these people in these years.
Right. So I mean, you go out and support these guys. And especially I know it's a young team, but there are guys that have given their all to this LSU team.
A lot, yeah.
So go out and support them. It's going to be a great night in Tiger Stadium. Last time you're going to get to do it this year. So I cannot.
Also, if someone gets a picture of me and John on the field pregame, tweets it out or Instagram and tags us, free hat.
Free hat. How about that?
That's a pretty good deal. I had to take a picture. It doesn't get any easier.
Not difficult at all.
Yeah.
Or if you see us in a video of somebody else, like somebody unrelated to us, like
me walking next to a recruit looking jacked.
Like say a recruiting hype video, or like say Jacques catches us on WAFB.
If we look good in the video.
No, if we don't look good, do not tweet it out.
If we don't look good, no hat.
Yeah. If we don't look good, I like that. So all right, LSU is going to win against UAB. I don't think there's much more to say about that. Let's talk about DraftKings for a second. Do a quick mini LSU basketball segment because I know Rory's got some thoughts on this year's LSU basketball team. Because I know he's had a lot of time to watch it with him and his future 6'11" center. So before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to DraftKings. Enter promo code BOOT, bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Restrictions apply. 21 plus. See show notes for details. Say that 5 times fast, Luffy.
See show notes for details.
That was one time.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, you didn't get a chance to fumble it. Normally you fumble it in the second or third iteration. But all that to say, DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of Boot Crew Media. All right, LSU hoops. LSU got the win against Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis in the first win of the season. And Coach Matt McMahon had water raining down on him in the locker room. Rory, thoughts?
I haven't watched either of these games, but the score, they haven't covered. I don't think they covered either spread, did they? They
did not cover in the first game. I do know that.
No, I don't think they covered the second game either.
I think, it's just going to be like that year for LSU. Most of your rotation guys are transfers from mid-majors. Adam Miller looks legit. Wish we had a better team for him. It's not going to be the worst team. They're gonna win a few games. They're going to steal a few for sure. But I think if I'm Matt McMahon, I'm setting a culture and talking to the recruits and really playing for next year.
And a lot of people have compared this year. Sorry to interrupt you, Roy. To Will Wade's first year. Like people went out and supported Will Wade's first year. So go out and do the same thing because it is hard to build a culture in a program without some fan support. So go out and watch the games. I'm excited to go to a couple games this year.
And the team isn't horrible. It's not
they just haven't scored many points so far, but it's their second game playing together.
Yeah.
They could get better if we're middle of the pack SEC.
Yeah, they're going to win some games.
7th overall in the SEC out of 14.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty damn good for the roster. So
they have some players, KJ Williams, Adam Miller, Milani coming back, Justice Williams. They have solid basketball players. It's not like we're watching bad basketball players like some LSU teams in the past or bad coaching. Matt McMahon's a good coach. So I think they definitely deserve the support.
And it is hard to tell so far. They are rotating. A lot of guys played in that first couple games. So it is going to be hard to tell. And I think they're still figuring things out rotation wise, which is why you play these games at first.
All right. And that's your 2-minute drill for LSU basketball. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot more LSU basketball throughout the season, but it is early on. It's the beginning of the Matt McMahon era, so we're all excited for that. And I think with that, we want to get to the famous House Always Wins segment presented by the House Bar in Tigerland. Get on out to the House Bar in Tigerland this Saturday. They're open late. You know that. You already know it's a late game. Doesn't matter. They'll be open after LSU ends up stomping the UAB
Dragons.
the UAB Dragons.
I thought it
head
was. Is it the Dragons?
I don't know. I've been calling them that, so if it's not.
I thought it was the Blazers.
Oh, it is but it's like a dragon.
Whatever,
Yeah.
dude. That's like
It's
the
a
that's
blazer.
like
What is a blazer? Isn't a blazer a dragon?
Blazer's a jacket you wear to a semi-formal event. But all that to say, whatever they are, it doesn't matter. LSU is going to cover 14 and a half. We said we weren't.
Blaze the dragon. So he's a dragon. Blaze the dragon is the mascot.
Wow. Y'all just had a moment of harmony like
Yeah,
I
we
haven't
did.
experienced in a while on this
Yeah.
podcast. Great to have you back, Rory. But head on over to the House Bar in Tigerland. It's your last game day of the year in as far as home games go. They'll have the game on at the bar if you want to head on over there early or during or for the game. They'll be open before the game as well. Make sure to head on over to the House Bar in Tigerland. Cannot shout those guys out enough. They have helped us out so much. And also head on over to Crumble Cookie in Lafayette to support the owners of the House Bar in Tigerland. Follow them on Twitter at Tigerland House, and on Facebook and Instagram at House in Tigerland and at houseintigerland.com.
Yeah,
All
get
right.
some merch.
Rory's got his merch on right now. I'm looking at it.
I wear my quarter zip. Like I bought two of them. I bought the gray one and the white one. I wear those. Well, not anymore because it's like super cold. But when it's that light breeze, that's like my go-to work quarter zip.
Hell yeah.
All right, I'll go first. Wait, I don't even know how y'all been doing this.
No, so
Well-
Lovey's been keeping score, and he's going to give a little recap, and he's not going to mention me or your picks. But
Yeah.
he's going to mention his from last week.
Side Chargers plus a 7, of course, they cover. And then I have LSU under 62 last week.
Wow, we did awesome.
Okay, so but listen, on the year we're 14-14 in the NFL, and we're 13-12 in college. So what is that? 27-26 on the year, above 500.
That's plus
Above
money,
500.
I think, minus the juice. But
Yeah, minus that doesn't matter. Plus
did you count
500.
my 2 losses from last week?
No, I'm only counting one. I only had you at LSU minus 10.5. I
I
don't.
know, but
Do you have 3.5 too?
No,
Well, then that.
no. I said I'm going to take the alternate spread, and it'll count as 2 wins or 2 losses.
Oh, well, I had it as 1 loss. So
Well, you should
Hey,
just take in the
the good-
3.
The good thing about this competition and the good thing about this scorekeeping is that we're the ones that keep
yeah,
the
we're
score.
still keeping the score. We haven't counted double wins though. So like if we've had the same game and won multiple
That's
times,
fair.
we have not counted double wins. So that is fair. I mean,
I
That's
feel like we
fair.
should count
It's
that.
like
27 and 26 for that many picks is pretty good.
It's like playing
Yeah,
cards
we're
with
still-
a 5-year-old.
We're still
pretty good.
third on taking the over. The only problem is, have you seen who's in first? This dude's 16-1 since like week 6.
Wow.
We're still positive units. We're positive like 0.01 units.
All right, we need to find some
Continue.
dirt. We need to find some dirt on this guy and get him disqualified.
We might have to ride like one pick 1 week to catch up.
I know.
Like one
Wait, does he
pick.
tweet his picks?
No, I don't think so. But we could just
He
ride.
DMs him,
Probably.
dude. Of course, then he'd start. He has such a comfortable lead. Then he'd start losing.
He's selling those things, John.
We just need to find his.
we
his
need to
burner
hit.
account.
We need to hit one of those ATD parlays.
Yeah.
We need to just go to Vegas one weekend and just make friends with every capper out there, and then we'll all just start new Twitter pages that die whenever the guy goes on a losing streak, and then he just makes another one.
Yeah, Bambino.
And what happened to George Kent? All right,
All right.
James, go ahead. Or Rory, you go.
All right,
first.
y'all want to start college or NFL?
college?
All right, I'll go first.
All right.
I'm back in Cadillac Williams again.
Yeah.
I backed
like
him
that.
last week against A&M. I mean, A&M just looks like a shell of a program. But I'm backing him again this week against a very good Western Kentucky team. But at Auburn, at Jordan Hare, Cadillac Williams had himself a game last week. I still think you get a rah-rah spot out of this week as well. I'm going to take Auburn minus 5.5 against Western Kentucky. Also, he has to. You have to win this. Let's see who's your last game of the year.
Alabama, like
Never
always.
mind. They're not gonna make a bowl. But I feel like you might want to win this, especially at home. I think they get up enough for to win by 5.5.
All right. Looking to bounce back after last week, I am gonna make a college bet that this is one of those ones that doesn't make sense again. And I haven't bet them in a while,
Yeah.
but I do enjoy saying the name.
Yeah.
Chanticleers +2 against Virginia. Virginia is 3-7.
Well, John, it might be you might need another one.
Oh wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
you might need
Yes.
another
Okay.
one.
All right. Hold on. All right. Yeah. Now that we have entered into this,
Yeah. Nope.
sincere condolences to all of those at Virginia, the 3 football players. That didn't even register with me. Sincere condolences from the Out the Box podcast.
Here, John, I got another game you can pick too, right
No,
here.
I got a game.
Okay. I have a pick that I thought you were going to take.
LSU minus 14.5.
While John's finding his pick.
LSU minus 14.5. I just said it.
Okay. I got you. LSU minus 14.5 for John. All right. Give me the fighting Billy Napier's minus 14 against Vanderbilt.
That's a good
Vanderbilt's coming off the biggest win in program history, beating
that's a good
Kentucky. I think it's a little bit of and Florida won big too, but they were supposed to win that game against South Carolina. But I think that Vanderbilt may still be partying. They still might be partying in Nashville if they party there. I think Florida's just to out-athlete them, really, for most of the game. And they're going to score a bunch of points. I don't think that Vanderbilt will be able to keep up. So I was in between that and Arkansas plus 2.5. If it was plus 3, I probably would have taken it at home against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, kind of an emotional letdown, losing to Bama. Still playing for a good bowl game, but I don't know. I kind of like the Arkansas plus 3, but I'm gonna stick with Florida minus 14.
I like that
All right.
pick a lot, actually.
Rory.
It's definitely going on my radar.
You could tease that with LSU and be.
Yeah, that might be the move.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a bounce back spot in the NFL, and this is also a great teaser. This is a good teaser, but I'm going Buffalo Bills minus 8.5. Buffalo, tough loss last week, and that's 2 in a row.
The Packers finally win a game, and I don't bet them. I'm done betting them though.
Well, Minnesota beat Buffalo last week. But
wait, no. Wait, who did the Packers beat?
The Packers beat
the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Okay, that's.
I had
okay.
Packers money line.
Those were both 3:00 games.
Yeah, I did.
The Vikings and the Bills was at noon, right?
Yeah, but I had Packers was in the evening.
Anyway, I'm just saying those were the 2 best games of the day, and I got mixed up.
Listen to this. I had Packers, Colts money line, Chargers plus 7.
Why do I
parlay?
How do I always do that?
Just by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, I did. I thought it had lost, and then I had rechecked my phone. I mean, I knew the Colts were going to win. You got to bet Jeff Saturday, in that spot.
That's crazy that he's the coach. But anyway.
You have to bet that first week of the interim coach. Now you might want to fade the shit out of him. But
Buffalo, 2-game losing streak, both losses by 3. Browns, terrible team.
Deshaun's not back, right?
No, Deshaun's not back yet. Browns just got mollywopped by Miami. Tua did whatever he wanted. I think Josh Allen, hopefully he's fully healthy. I know he was a little injured, but I think it's going to be a get right game for Buffalo. Give me the 8.5.
Yeah, right. And that, like you said, perfect teaser spot there too. The board is filled with traps. I almost want to ride with the listeners because I posted the Thursday night football game on Out the Box. It's got like 100 votes so far. Titans are getting 60% of the vote against the Packers. and the Titans are +3. It's at Lambeau, though, and the Packers need a win to keep their season alive. So I'm going to stick with Joey B and the Bengals, -4.5. I don't like betting the Bengals. I don't think they're that good of a team this year. But they do need to win this game to keep pace with the Ravens, and the Steelers suck.
I think
TJ Watt's
they
back.
also kind of sneaky have Pittsburgh's number.
Yeah, they do.
Joe Burrow does.
Joe Burrow does, and Jamar is not going to be back this week, which is a little scary.
He's still in crutches, I heard.
Yeah, I saw that, but I don't know. Some people are saying that he could still play, but I think he's going to be out for another couple of weeks. But they need to win this game. They really do. It's a divisional game. They can't lose ground on the Ravens right now, and I'll take the Bengals -4.5.
Jets +3, no context.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with no context?
I'm fine with that pick. The first time around when they played the Jets, I was kind of worried about that with Bill Belichick being his first time against, or I guess not his first time, but going against Zach Wilson, known to throw some picks, but it's in New England. I'm fine with it. I like this pick. I like that pick.
No context.
I think a perfect tease, the bounce back tease, big fan of this tease.
Mm-hmm.
It might be our 0.5 unit. Maybe we might put together just like a giant teaser, but Philly -6.5.
Yeah.
Like you said, you fade the Jeff Saturday win and you tack on the Bills.
Yeah, I love that. I had already looked at that Philly line and said that that's going in a teaser for sure. So I do like that. Maybe we can use that. Can we tease on there?
Yeah, we can tease. We can do whatever we want as long as it's
Maybe we should just do that for like all 5 of our units.
Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
I'm in for that if y'all want to do that. But does that wrap it up?
I think
Any final comments? Did I miss anything?
I think that about does it, Luffy. You need to mentally prepare yourself for after I get done thanking everybody for listening to this episode of the Out the Box podcast. You had some hate mail in the Out the Box inbox.
Oh, I did.
So I'm gonna read out. So thank you guys so much for listening. Cannot thank y'all enough. It has been a fantastic football season, and we are just getting started. LSU's headed to the SEC Championship in Atlanta. Let us know if you're going to be there. We're going to try to be credentialed up there. I'm going to talk to the guys at the Boot Crew Media Network and let them know. But we could not do this without you guys. We cannot thank y'all enough. Shout out to the House Bar, Workbox LLC, Blaine Loop with Keller Williams Realty. Who also want you to know that Keller Williams is a unique opportunity housing partner, each office independently owned and operated, DraftKings, and the Boot Crew Media Network. Rory, it has been an absolute pleasure in the podcast booth with you. I know you're about to have to log off, but I want you to be here for Luffy. Luffy got not some hate mail, but a listener in the Out the Box podcast who will not, or I guess we'll go ahead and say his name after I read this message that we got, said, I'd like to point out that I saw Luffy in the bathroom in the fourth quarter and he was doubting BK. And that would be at the LSU Alabama game. And first of all, Luffy, do you remember who you saw in the fourth quarter in the bathroom when you were doubting BK?
I have no clue. I saw in the Alabama game. He said, I'd like to point out that I saw Luffy in the bathroom in the fourth quarter and he was doubting BK. I usually don't leave the stand, so I'm surprised that I was even like going to the bathroom.
It's quite possible that he didn't see you.
Yeah. Who is this?
I don't want to say.
Larmu. Yeah, I feel like I definitely didn't see Larmu in the bathroom in the fourth quarter. I could have, but I was probably chirping him. So
you were probably
also
shout out Larmu.
Larmu's like
he is a loyal.
He's loyal. Larmu's loyal,
and he's like one. If there's a more positive person than John, it would be Andrew Larmu.
Yeah,
he walked in. He walked into Tiger Stadium just like knowing that LSU was going to win. He might have been one of like the 100,000 that he knew that day that LSU was going to win.
So the verdict is that you didn't see him, so it didn't happen.
No, yeah, I definitely don't think I saw him. I usually kind of like don't leave the stands, especially towards the end of the game.
I
So
mean, nothing, deny everything.
yeah,
Yep. Shout
and
out.
I was pretty dialed in during that game. So
Shout out Drew. Drew that.
shout out Drew, and I like remember every play, so it's weird. But I could have been just moving. If I had to go, I was probably in and out of there within seconds.
No, you were at a work box. You were at a work box porta potty.
I was in my seat. Dialed
Martine brought a portable
into the
urinary
stadium.
station to your seat.
We're gonna win back the sponsorship here soon.
We got to fight.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later.
Later, Roy. Tug Rain.